Good day, everyone. Welcome to our online session. Today, we're going to delve into a very important topic, especially for us as future educators. But before we proceed and formally start the discussion, let's begin with a short activity. An icebreaker that will enlighten you and give you a brief idea of what we are going to discuss today. We will call this icebreaker Jambulara Letero, or in a simpler terms, jumble letters. The mechanics of this game are very easy. You only need to rearrange the letters to form a word. And once you have finished rearranging the letters, please type your answers in the chat box below. You will be given 5 seconds only to finish each word. And the first person to chat will receive additional points in the assessment. So what are we waiting for? I know you are ready and excited to be the first place and get the point. So good luck and let's begin. So our first word is yes, you're correct. In the first word, all of you got the correct answer, and that is philosophy. That's a good start. So let us now proceed to the second word, and the second word is amazing. For the second time, all of you got the correct answer because the correct answer in the second word is learners. Let us now move on to the third word, and our third word is very good. In the third word, all of you got the correct answer again, and that is strategist. For the fourth word, the word is good job. Again, for the fourth word, all of you got the correct answer, and that is education. In the fifth word, the word is all right. For the fifth time, all of you again got the correct answer, and the word that we are looking for is challenges. At this moment, we have only one word left. For the last word, here's the word. All I can say now is wow, because for the last word, all of you got the correct answer again. And the correct answer for this last word is principles. Wow, amazing! I didn't expect that as I feel the intense in the chat box below. That's a great start. Alright, so at this point, has anyone already figured out kung ano ba ang topic na pag-uusapan natin today? Well, I have a feeling that some of you already know what it is. Diba? Kaya wag na nating patagalin to. So our topic for today is all about the professional learner-centered philosophy of education. In this session, we will explore the principles and practices of learner-centered education, which puts the learner at the center of the educational experience. We will discuss how this philosophy can empower students, promote active engagement, and foster a love for lifelong learning. That's why at the end of this learning session, learners and listeners are expected to achieve these learning outcomes. First, of course, by the end of this online learning session, learners are expected to understand what is professional, learner-centered philosophy of education and its key principles and benefits. Secondly, explain the challenges involved in implementing a professional learner-centered approach and identify strategies to address them. And lastly, apply the principles of a learner-centered philosophy of education to create an inclusive and empowering learning environment. Of course, this discussion will not be possible without the tireless effort of our presenters, which is the first presenter will introduce the philosophy of education that centers around the professional learner, and that will be discussed and introduced to us by Miss Rochelle CAMBA. Our second presenter will be scrutinized by RUFINO LUMBAO Jr. That's me. I will deliberate the key principles and benefits of a professional learner-centered philosophy of education. Lastly, to complete the discussion of this online learning session, the last presenter will assess the challenges and discuss several implementation strategies related to the professional learner-centered philosophy of education, and that is to be tackled and presented by Miss Jessica CALAO. Throughout this session, we encourage you to actively participate by sharing your insights, asking questions, and engaging in meaningful discussion. Let's make this a collaborative learning experience where we can all contribute to our understanding of learner-centered education. By the end of this session, we hope that you will have a deeper appreciation for the learner-centered approach and gain practical strategies that you can apply in your future roles as educators. So without further ado, to begin the discussion, may I call on Ms. Rochelle Camba to introduce to us and define what we mean by a learner-centered approach.
So, good morning, everyone. Today, we are here to discuss the concept of a professional learner centered philosophy of education. To begin, let's define what we mean by a learner centered approach. So, a learner centered philosophy of education places the learner at the center of the educational experience, focusing on their needs, interests, and abilities. So it emphasizes active engagement, collaboration, and personalized learning. So this approach acknowledges that students are unique individuals with diverse learning styles and backgrounds. So a learner-centered philosophy of education is an approach that prioritizes the learner's needs, interests, and the abilities of the educational process. So, nagpo-focus din ito sa traditional teacher wherein directed instruction to environment where the learner actively engages in the learning process. So, in a learner-centered philosophy, the goal is to create an educational experience that is personalized, relevant, and meaningful for each individual student. So, there are the importance of adopting a learner-centered approach. So, first is individualized learning. So, in individualized learning, recognizes and respect the diverse backgrounds, experiences, and abilities of students. So next is active engagement. It is encourages students to take an active role in their learning process, promotes hands-on experiential learning, fostering a deeper understanding of concept. So third is the relevance and meaningfulness. Connects learning to real world applications, making it more relevant and meaningful for students. So, igdi man, na-enhance natin ang motivation for learning by showing the practical implications. So, next is critical thinking and problem solving. So, it emphasizes the development of critical thinking skills and the ability to solve real world problems. So, dito naman naka-focus from memorization to the application of knowledge in various contexts. So next is collaboration and communication. So dito naman nade-develop effective communication skills and ability to work in diverse teams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shell CAMBA, for introducing and giving us the definition of what is professional learner-centered approach, and also by sharing to us why learner-centered approach is important. So at this point, pag-usapan naman natin ang mga key principles and benefits of a professional learner-centered philosophy of education. But now, let's delve first into key principles of a professional learner-centered philosophy of education. According to my resources, there are three key principles. And one fundamental principle is the recognition that learners construct their own knowledge actively. So instead of passively receiving information, students are encouraged to explore, question, and make meaning from their experiences. So, sa unang key principle na ito, matutulungan yung student to become more invested in the learning process and makakadevelop ito sa kanilang malalim na pag-intindi in the specific subject. They are encouraged to ask questions, maghanap ng kasagutan, and even critically analyze information. So this approach promotes higher order thinking skills and fosters a sense of ownership over their learning. So one of the example of these principles is if you're going to teach in a science class, so instead na ipapamemorize natin sa mga students natin yung facts about the water cycle, mas mainam or mas mabuti na mag-conduct na lang tayo ng experiments na kung saan o-observe nila yung real-life phenomena, maa-analyze nila yung data to understand how the water cycle operates. So, sa pamamagitan ng hands-on approach na ito, students actively engage with the content, make connection between theory and practice, and develop a rich understanding of the topic. So let us now proceed to the second principle of the professional learner-centered philosophy of education, and that is the importance of fostering a supportive and inclusive learning environment. These involve creating a safe space where students feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and ideas. So sa principle namang ito, the students are encouraged to share their perspectives, ask questions, and engage in open dialogue with their peers and teachers. Ang principle na to ay makakatulong to promote a sense of belonging na kung saan ma-validate ang kanilang diverse experiences and of course, ang background ng mga estudyante. So, for example, in a classroom that embraces this principle, maaari yung teacher ay magpa-facilitate ng isang discussion where students are encouraged to share their personal experiences na kung saan related ito sa isang particular na topic. So, maaari itong gawin sa pamamagitan ng mga activities katulad ng small group discussion and class presentation at maaari rin gawin ang written reflections. So, by creating an atmosphere of respect and active listening, maaari yung student mafe-feel na sila ay valued at naiintindihan, fostering a sense of community within the classroom. So, isa pa sa mga example nito, if we're going to talk a inclusive classroom, maaari yung teacher is gagamit ng various teaching strategies and materials na kung saan ma-accommodate ang lahat ng estudyante na may iba't ibang learning preferences. This could include visual aids, hands-on activities, audio recordings, or technological tools. So, by incorporating multiple modalities of instruction, makakatulong ito sa mga estudyante na may iba't ibang learning style na makasabay, maka-engage with the content in ways that are most meaningful and effective for them. That's why as a future educators, as a teacher, maging considerate tayo sa magiging estudyante natin, especially in the future. So, kasi tayo lang naman ang makakatulong sa kanila aside from their family. So, tayo lang makaka-provide sa kanila ng education ng kanilang kinakailangan. So, that's why we need to be considerate in any way possible. So, moving on, the last key principle of professional learner-centered philosophy of education is a learner-centered approach promotes collaboration and student agency. Students are encouraged to take ownership of their learning by setting goals, making decisions, and reflecting on their progress. This empowers learners and helps develop essential skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, and self-regulation. So, sa principle namang ito, makakatulong ito sa estudyante to have the opportunity na makapag-work together, makapag-share ng ideas, and of course, matuto from one another. So, collaborative activities can take various forms, such as group projects, discussions, debates, or problem-solving tasks. So, sa pamamagitan ng kolaborasyon na ito, makakatulong ito sa estudyante na ma-develop ang kanilang skills, such as effective communication, of course, their teamwork, and negotiation, which are essential for success in both academic and real-life world context. So, for example, in the science class again, it is common or parati na itong ginagawa sa mga classroom or in a subject. So, maaring mag-assign tayo ng group project sa mga estudyante natin where they need to design and conduct an experiment to investigate a scientific phenomenon for instances. So, maaring ilagay natin sa instruction na each students can contribute their unique ideas and skills na kung saan mag-work sila as a group together para mag-collect ng data, mag-analyze ng results, and of course, mag-draw ng conclusion. So, sa pamamagitan ng collaboration or collaborative process na ito, yung estudyante, hindi lang natin matutulungan na i-deepen pa ang kanilang understanding on the scientific concept, but also madidevelop rin natin sa kanila ang kanilang teamwork and of course, problem-solving abilities. So we are now done with the key principles of professional learner-centered philosophy of education. So let us now proceed and move forward to the benefits. So there are several benefits to implementing a professional learner-centered philosophy of education. So marami pang benefits ang professional learner-centered philosophy of education. But in order to minimize the time of this online session, I will rather to choose this very important benefits of learner-centered philosophy of education. So first, it enhances student engagement and motivation by making learning relevant and meaningful to their lives. When students see the connection between what they are learning and their own interests and goals, they become more invested in the learning process. So secondly, it promotes deeper understanding and retention of knowledge. So learners actively construct their understanding, which leads to better retention and application of knowledge in real-world contexts. So that's conclude my topic. So I will now turn the mic to Miss Jessica CALAO.
Thank you for highlighting the principles and benefits, Ms. RUFINO LUMBAO. Now let's discuss the challenges and strategies for implementing the professional learner-centered philosophy of education. One challenge is individualization complexity. Means ito yung tumutugon sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng mga learning tool, istruktura ng kurikulum at pakikipagtulungan ng guro sa edukasyon sa iba't ibang pangangailangan sa pag-aaral. Second is assessment alignment. Ito naman ang mapagtagumpayan sa pamamagitan ng pagsasama ng iba't ibang paraan ng pagtatasa na umaayon sa mga individual na layunin sa pag-aaral, pagtutuon sa mga formative na pagtatasa at pagbibigay din sa pagpapalago kaysa sa mahigpit na mga pamantayan. Third is resource allocation. It managed by optimizing existing resources, investing in technology, and fostering partnership with community resources to support individualized learning initiative. O ito yung pamahalaan sa pamamagitan ng pag-optimize ng mga kasalukuyang mga pagkukunan, pamumuhunan sa teknolohiya at pagpapatibay ng mga pakikipag-social sa mga pagkukunan ng komunidad upang suportahan ang mga individual na hakbangin ng pag-aaral. Fourth is teacher professional development or ito yung pagbabawas sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng patuloy na pagsasanay or mga programa sa pagtuturo at paglikha ng isang kultura na nagpapahalaga at sumusuporta sa mga tagapagturo sa paggamit ng mga diskarte ng mag-aaral. Fifth is technology integration or it means navigate by ensuring equitable access to technology, offering trainings for educators, and incorporating tools that enhance personalized learning experience or yung nakikipag-negotiate sa pamamagitan ng pagtiyak na pantay na pag-access ng teknolohiya at pag-aalok ng pagsasanay para sa mga tagapagturo at pagsasama ng mga tool na nagpapahusay sa mga personalized na karanasan sa pag-aaral. Sixth is parental involvement o yung magtagumpay sa pamamagitan ng pagtataguyod ng mga channel o ng komunikasyon sa pagsasagawa ng workshop upang turuan ang mga magulang tungkol sa mga filosofiyang nakasentro sa mag-aaral at pagsali sa kanila sa mga proseso ng paggawa ng desisyon or they overcome by promoting communication channels and conducting workshop to educate parents by learning-centered philosophy. And last, in challenges, is time constraints, which address by incorporating efficient time management and strategies, flexible schedule, and prioritizing essential learning objectives to balance individualization with time limitation. So, next is implementation strategies. There have 7 implementation strategies that I discussed. So first is the professional development program, which established regular training sessions and workshops to equip educators with the skills and knowledge needed to implement learner-centered strategies effectively, o yung magtatag ng mga regular na sesyon sa pagsasanay at mga workshop upang masangkapan ang mga tagapagturo ng mga kasanayan at kaalaman na kailangan upang maipatupad ang mga estratehiyang sa mga mag-aaral. Second is technology integration plans. It is to develop and implement comprehensive plans for integrating technology into the curriculum, ensuring it aligns with individually individualized learning objectives and address potential challenges. O ito yung bumubuo at magpatupad ng komprehensibong plano para sa pagsasama-sama ng teknolohiya sa kurikulum at tinitiyak na naaayon ito sa individual na layunin sa pag-aaral. Next is collaborative learning communities, which foster a culture of collaboration among educators, encouraging the sharing of best practices, ideas, and resources to enhance the implementation of learner-centered education. O ito yung paraan upang paunlarin ang kultura ng pagtutulungan ng mga tagapagturo na hinihikayat ang pagbabahagi ng pinakamahuhusay na kagawian, ideya at mapagkukunan upang mapahusay at ang pagpapatupad ng edukasyon sa mag-aaral. Fourth is flexible curriculum design. Design a curriculum that allows for flexibility, offering diverse pathways for students to achieve learning objectives based on their individual needs and preference. Ito naman ang nag-aalok ng magkakaibang mga landas para sa mga mag-aaral na makamit ang mga layunin sa pag-aaral batay sa kanilang mga individual na pangangailangan at kagustuhan. So, next is continuous evaluation and adjustment, or implement a feedback loop that involves regular assessment and adjustment of learner-centered practices based on a student progress and feedback. O ito naman ay magpatupad ng feedback na kinabibilangan ng regular na pagtatasa at pagsasaayos ng mga kasanayang nakasentro sa mag-aaral batay sa pag-unlad ng mag-aaral. The sixth is community engagement. It involves parent and community stakeholders in the educational process, creating a supportive network that understands and contributes to the success of learner-centered philosophy. O ito naman ay tumutukoy sa pagsasali ng magulang at mga stakeholders ng komunidad sa proseso ng edukasyon. And lastly, leadership support ensures strong leadership support by establishing policies and procedures that align with a learner-centered philosophy by providing resources to facilitate its effective implementation, or tiyakin ang malakas na suporta sa pamumuno sa pamamagitan ng pagtatag ng mga patakaran at pamamaraan na naaayon sa mag-aaral at nagbibigay ng mga mapagkukunan upang mapadali ang epektibong pagpapatupad nito. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rochelle CAMBA, and of course, Ms. Jessica CALAO, for your insightful contribution to this discussion. A learner-centered philosophy of education is undoubtedly a valuable approach that can transform the educational landscape and empower students to become lifelong learners. At this juncture, do you have any questions, clarification, or other concerns that are related to our topic? If meron, wag po tayong mahihiyang magtanong, ika nga nila. Don't hesitate to raise your concerns, questions, and other clarifications by clicking the hand button below and wait for your turn. It is a great pleasure po and privilege na masagutan po namin ang ilan sa inyong mga katanungan. I assume wala naman siguro. It is truly a good evidence that you are actively listening during our discussion na kung saan maaari na ipaliwanag namin sa inyo ng maayos at matiwasay. Moving forward, to further conclude, a professional learner-centered philosophy of education places the learner at the center of the educational experience. It emphasizes active engagement, collaboration, and personalized learning. While there are challenges in implementing this approach, the benefits such as increased student engagement and deeper understanding make it a worthwhile endeavor. Through collaboration, ongoing professional development, and leveraging technology, educators can create an inclusive and empowering learning environment for all students. Once again, this is RUFINO LUMBAO Jr. together with my co-presenters, Ms. Rochelle CAMBA and Ms. Jessica CALAO. As this discussion comes to an end, thank you for your listening and active participation. We hope that you reap something new. And we should always remember Carl Rogers' profound wisdom: the only person who educated is the one who has learned how to learn and change. Again, we are Group 212 and we are now officially ending this online session. Good day and God bless everyone.